welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, July 23, 2018. I'm Yvesta Bowens with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is challenging the opposition to take the lead in relation to SVG acceding to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ. PM Gonsalves, who was speaking at a news conference today on a range of matters, said it was previously thought that the only way this could be done was by a way of referendum with a two-thirds majority support. He said after the Attorney General's reference case in St. Lucia, it became clear that ascension can be by way of a two-third vote in Parliament. PM Gonsalves said the opposition has the opportunity to make history by tabling the motion in Parliament.
You move the motion. You second it yourself, and I will vote along with you. I'll put you in government on this one. I will support you. Say, I'm opposition, but in this thing, Ralph has pussyfooted, he has done all these things. We are going to be the government on this thing. Work with the Public Service Attorney General. Work with them. Work with the Public Service. Do a bill. Do it. You introduce it, you second it, you go down in history for introducing it when Ralph couldn't bring it about. You second it, and I couldn't do it. I don't even want to second it, but I will tell you, introduce it and I will vote for it.
The Prime Minister said the time for the CCJ is now, adding that the issues can be dealt with in Parliament by a free vote.
Either the opposition agrees or we have a free vote. If you have a free vote, you might have 10 people inside from both sides who say yes. If we do that, we are home and dry. You're asking, why now? Well, the impetus obviously comes. I don't have to read and spell. Because we have a Vincentian who is now the president of the court. It gives a greater possibility, a greater likelihood that person may say, well, I know this man, you know, his thing, whatever misgivings I had, and we will go. But
PM Gonsalves said former Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell is a staunch supporter for retention of the Privy Council, but he respectfully disagrees with the former Prime Minister.
I do not want to linger. I do not want to tarry. I do not want to loiter on colonial premises after closing time. Those who want to do that, they can hold their view. The free and democratic country. So James, for instance, in the referendum, he said that there are two things which he's concerned about. He wrote a booklet. He said, you all could talk about all the other things. He said, I want to keep the Queen and I want to keep the Privy Council. I understand he has a lot of support. He has a lot of influence again in the NDP. I don't know if that is holding them back. I don't know. I happen to disagree with him on both things. He has made an important contribution to this country. And I just have to say this, you don't have to. I give honor and respect to him.
The recently opened modern medical complex at Georgetown received a quantity of medical supplies last week. The donation was made last Thursday by Mr. Morton Cumberbatch, Archbishop of the Divine Church of Healing. The Archbishop said it was an initiative of his wife and pledged to continue providing such support going forward. The donation included first aid kits, crutches and toiletries and was received on behalf of the institution by nursing and administrative staff who expressed their gratitude to the Archbishop. The modern medical clinic was opened on July 2nd. It is already providing some services such as dialysis to the public. The church has made similar donations in the past to institutions such as the Louis Burnett Home and the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. This country's Prime Minister said the government is doing the necessary work to ensure that proper legislation is in place to regulate a possible medical marijuana industry here. Dr. Gonzalez, who was speaking at a news conference today, said 3 bills will soon be tabled in Parliament and will cover the creation of a marijuana industry, the use of the herb for religious purposes, and an amnesty for those who grow the plant. In relation to the creation of a marijuana industry, Dr. Gonzalez said local and regional entities have some interest and have so far been sending in proposals to deal with the creation of various pharmaceutical products. The Prime Minister said the government is taking careful steps and using the examples of Jamaica and Antigua to create a legislative model that best fits SVG, which is also consistent with international obligations.
The parent laws, and then have to wait too long with the regulations. I'd like the regulations to come simultaneously so that we can move, we can roll out swiftly. The problems in Jamaica in which they did, I don't want to talk about, make any critical assessment, but they realized that they made some errors and they corrected them. And even before they talk about correcting them, we looked at their law and we saw limitations. Persons talk to me about Antigua. I say Antigua doesn't have a history of growing marijuana in the way in which we have a history. There are areas of this industry we have to accept that there are different models, even within one country.
PM Gonzalez said at this time the government is not looking at the decriminalization of the drug in small amounts for recreational use, adding that he is concerned that it can erode the relationship between the public and the police.
A policeman meets you with some ganja. Policeman looks at it. Policeman say, well, you know, I have to take this ganja and I got to do something about it because it looked to me like you got 3 ounces here. And you say, boss, this little drop of weed is 1.5 ounces. The policeman is walking around with a scale. What? How? Surely he has to go and wait. It has the potential to misuse police resources and maybe lend an area of uncertainty and affect police-citizen relations.
The Prime Minister said the public will have the opportunity to examine the published bills and is hopeful that it can be ready for Parliament by the 20th of August.
Now, we are supposed to have had the bill. I'd intended for the bill to go and get its first reading on the 26th. We're not going to make that time because I wanted to have a period for the public again to have a second and third and fourth look. Because what we are presenting is really a draft. After lots of consultation with stakeholders, it wouldn't even yet be the final product. But I want to see if we can take the final product on the 20th bill, the 3 bills on the 20th of August. There's some work which we have to do in select committee on a couple of other bills which we just passed, which we just presented to Parliament in the first reading, and they're at select committee, including the child justice bill, important bill. So I'm hopeful that we can be there on the 20th. Well, the 20th is the target date. Meanwhile, we have been meeting a lot of persons who are interested in the industry.
A call has been made here for artists to register with the Sub-Regional Rights Society ECHO and for that organization to step up its education of stakeholders. This came from legal practitioner Franklin Edwards as he spoke on radio yesterday in an interactive program that addressed issues of copyright. Edwards said, on one hand, Artists are failing to sign up, often due to being insufficiently aware of the importance of the organization, and on the other, consumers are resisting paying for the use of the intellectual property of artists.
Artists are mandated legally by law under the copyright laws to monitor your playing of music, because remember, your music, if you create it, you write it, it's an intellectual property, it's owning. It's like if you build a computer and you're going to rent it out, you have to pay for the use of it. It's like any other industry. You know, if Gideon's paint, who made the paint, and you're going to use that paint, you have to pay for it. Right? So what happened is that the societies were formed for that specific purpose. They were mandated and are mandated by law under the copyright laws to issue license to players, to stakeholders, whether it's movie theaters, whether it's clubs, whether it's radio stations. Their job is to give license on behalf of their members, right? So now this license allows the stations to play the music, but they have to pay a fee. That fee is now, after you subtract an administrative cost, is now paid to the artist, to the writer, in form of a royalty check.
Edwards pointed out that artists are doing themselves a disservice by failing to have the rights organization advance their interests, from which artists in more developed countries internationally often make millions of dollars.
Now we in the islands are now coming to that realization. We have been listening and playing music and using people's intellectual property for years, exploiting it for years, and not paying a dime. Because if you think of the function of a radio station or a club or a promoter doing a big fete, it's to make money. How does he make that money? He made that money by the use of Truth's, the song that he wrote, right? So I'm going to take Truth's song, play it on my radio station. Now, Jemot is going to come in as Flow or whatever company, and he's going to advertise on my station because my station is playing Truth's music and my station is popular and everybody is tuning in. So he's going to make money based upon his advertising on my station. I'm going to make money. But guess what? The main person that keeps that station going is Truth's. Because I wouldn't listen to that station if his music was not playing. But he's not getting any money. So the whole idea of ECHO and Copyright Society is to resolve that problem.
Edwards further noted that persons often do not pay adequate attention to the intricacies of ownership of a piece of work, and so can run into problems because of lack of binding arrangements.
The mechanism for keeping a track, digitally and otherwise, schematics and so forth, to knowing how much your song is being played all over the world. There's some issues sometimes where you'll find producers produce a song, but there wasn't proper agreements made with the artist, and the producer will claim ownership to the song and register the song as their song, even the lyrics, and then they didn't write A or B in the song, they just play the music. And people will find out years after, oh, this producer's been collecting royalties on my song because we never had an agreement written down and he's registered the song because you didn't, right, as a writer. So he did, and he's collecting your royalties.
A word of caution has been issued that while seeking to heed calls to continue to modernize Vincimas, the Carnival Development Corporation should not use profitability as the only yardstick by which it should respond to change. This word of caution was issued by artist Orlando Bomani Charles while contributing to yesterday's Sunday Brunch interactive program on Magic 103.7. In the course of the discussion, the question of support for CDC-sponsored shows and the gravitation of larger segments of the population to privately organized shows, largely promoted through social media, was raised as something of which the CDC should take note.
Finding practices and policies and documentation, I think we have to find a way to make sure that it is responsive to some of the changes that we have no control over. As we have seen over the years, things are going to ebb and flow and move and change, and we have to be quick to respond to those changes and make a policy, a creative arts policy that is rooted in the foundations and the traditions of Carnival and Vincimas, but at the same time find the balance in being flexible and responsive to those changes to accommodate, what the next generation's vision of Carnival is.
And Ezzy Roberts, who is the point person on the CDC for the organization of Rural Carnival, noted that while the CDC is mindful of these trends and responding to them, it has to operate within the confines of its legislative framework.
We are not private promoters. We have a responsibility to protect and promote our culture. So while a private promoter may choose to have an event and he doesn't include Pan, Mass, nor Calypso, we cannot simply say, well, Calypso Finance don't make money and the expenditure is X or Y and we're going to get rid of Calypso Finance. We cannot say that Dimashqa don't make money. So, you know, any of these things, Panorama don't make money. But we still have to have Panorama because we have that responsibility to ensure that culture survives through the veins of the carnival. But what person need to look at, as you pointed, Ronnie, is the impact of carnival on the economy in a whole, and it certainly impacts in a positive way.
Robert said the CDC has already begun its promotion of the 2019 edition of Vincimas using a multi-pronged approach. He said at this point, the CDC is concentrating on getting the dates out. Vincimas 2019 will run from June 28 to July 9th. Aspiring panists in and around the community of Sion Hill today began training in the 23rd Sion Hill Euphonium's PAN program. The training program, which is done as part of the band's efforts to rejuvenate its junior pan side, not only teaches the skill of pan playing, but addresses the holistic development of participants. We hear more about the initiative in this report from Nikita Tony.
Since its inception in 1995, the PAN training program, an initiative of the 2018 Senior Panorama Champs Sion Hill Euphonium Steel Orchestra, has molded some of this nation's top steel pan players, and for 2018, the band hopes to continue along this line. In an interview with SVG-TV News Today, Vice Captain of the orchestra and trainer for the 2018 program, Michaela Knights, said over its 23 years, the program has gained more structure.
The band did not have a junior band and they wanted to start a junior band, so they decided to start a program within the community. Now it's more wide-based. Main aim of the program right now is to ensure that we replenish the junior band, because every year there will be older students and they'll be leaving, and we want to ensure that there is continuity in the band. We also train a wide range of people because not everybody will stay and play with Sion Hill, but at least we get to build the appreciation for the art form and people get to love it and appreciate it, especially younger people. We don't want them to only be appreciators of music in the diaspora. We want them to love and appreciate Calypso, and that is what PAN is really based around.
Knights, who is also a product of the said program, highlighted that participants are also involved in a number of capacity building activities.
Be assisted by Tilal Webb, which is our musical director and also our PAN captain. As of last year, we don't just teach PAN. We have lectures, we have games, and we have recreational tours where we take the students out. Try to redevelop and redesign our program to ensure that students have a great time during their summer, while we also teach them something, because we teach them the history of PAN, we teach them the art and skill of playing PAN, and also they learn the beginner's version of how to read and write music.
Knight spoke about how persons can earn a living from the skills they develop.
You have to teach appreciation, because without appreciation there is no love. And I like to say, when you're choosing a career path, there must be something that you love. If PAN is within and you're passionate about it, then there is no boundaries for it. And that is what you see. Rodney is a pure example of what you can do if you love something enough and you're passionate enough. You can make it your career path. There is no limits on it. And that's what I like to teach my students every year. You know, you fall in love with the instrument first, and then the instrument will take you where you need to go.
Catering to youths aged 7 to 17, Knight said the program, which began today, Monday, July 23rd, will be held from 1 to 4 p.m. daily at the orchestra's band room at Sion Hill.
I would think the ideal group size would be 25, but we get as much as 40 and 50, and I normally break the group and do morning and afternoon sometimes. It's not just about playing PAN, but it's to make sure that we know our history and we keep it going. And I always advise people to send their children out to learn, because we don't only learn the skill, but we learn discipline. There is not one indisciplined PAN player, because it takes discipline to learn music without it being written down. It builds your memory. It helps you in school. It's not just about a summer program, but it's just about development on a whole. That's what PAN is for me and Sion Hill Euphonium.
Cognizant of the importance of keeping the culture of steel pan alive in SVG, the Sion Hill Euphorium Steel Orchestra is encouraging the youths to come out and take advantage of the training opportunity. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.